What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another weekend watch list here where we're going to cover some of the stocks that we feel strongly you should be watching next week. All right, so thank you guys once again for tuning into my channel. Please give me a thumbs up and a subscribe if you haven't already done so. It is greatly appreciated. But with no further ado, let's start going into the stocks. And before we do that, I want to mention first, we're going to go over some penny stocks. And then secondly, we're going to go over some mid cap and large cap stocks that are a little higher priced. So if you want to focus strictly on the penny stocks for this video, you're going to want to watch the beginning. And then if you want to, stay tuned and watch further, we're going to cover the large cap or bigger price stocks towards the end of the video. So if you just want to look at the large cap stocks, feel free to skip down the video so you can just tune into the portion that you feel like you want to watch. And lastly, before we get started, I figured I might as well mention in this video, Boiler Room Trading is very close to finishing its section on mastering penny stocks. We're going to go A to Z, everything you need to know about penny stocks, providing you with scanners, using TD Ameritrade, using FinBiz, using trade ideas, and then we're going to teach you all the processes of going through creating your watch list for penny stocks, and then the 5 different types of strategies you can use to trade penny stocks, because there are really only 5 strategies that you should or can use to trade penny stocks. All right. And we're doing an early bird special for that. So if you want to join our trading course, the first link in the description below, I will leave the promo code. It is PennyStock15. That will get you 50% off the trading course for the entirety of the time that you stay subscribed with our trading course and live trading room. Now let's go ahead and jump into some of these stocks. First one I want to talk about is MARA. So let's first off look at this view right here. So the top screen here on the left is a 1-minute chart. The screen here on the right should be a 20-day chart. There we go. That's a 20-day chart. Bottom is a 180-day, and the right is a 1-year day chart. So based off of what we're seeing with MARA, it is a low float penny stock. We know it can run. If you look at the chart, it's gone from $1 to $10 before. So we know it has the potential to really run. All right. And before we start looking at some more stocks and jumping into, I want to mention, so MARA, if you look at this chart here, and I'll zoom in, this chart here states that, back a few months, MARA ran from, $1 all the way to $10, and then it came crashing down. Now, something I want you guys to understand about penny stocks is a lot of times we'll see them skyrocket, and then what happens up here is the short sellers, right? They come in and they pile in and they drive this price down, and a lot of them will end up holding long term, right? And then eventually when the stock starts to base out and flatline, they'll start to cover up, and then they'll cause a short squeeze where we get another one of these pops like this, but usually it's not as big as the first one. So again, we're going to watch MARA next week because we're getting to a point where the stock is starting to curl around, which means we could be turning and starting to trend back up for a squeeze, okay? But what I want you to understand is this is primarily a short squeeze momentum play, because the big pop here, short sellers pile in, drive the price down. So we go down, 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 and then eventually we start to bottom out, because if you look, that's right off of $1, and if you follow me over here, there's $1. We've held support on this area 1, 2 times, now 3 times. So we have definitely verified the $1 mark is in fact a support level. So right now, MARA is on support. It's got a short float of 17%. So that means that there's relatively a good amount of people that are in their short buys that have yet to cover up. Now they're on a whole dollar mark, and it's bouncing on support. How much lower can it really go? Probably not too much. So chances are we're going to see MARA squeeze up or go long in these coming days. And especially with the prices of Bitcoin going up, MARA is, kind of, involved in that whole Bitcoin cryptocurrency, or they kind of boomed when that news came out. So again, we're definitely going to be watching MARA here in these coming days for a possible long. All right. Now let's move to the next one on our list, which is CRON. All right, so real quick, let's hop out here, look at this 4-day analysis, or these 4 chart analysis. The 1-minute chart trending up very nicely. As you can see here towards the end of the day Friday, it closed really good. So this have a strong chance we could see a little bit of a continuation up come Monday morning. If you look here on this 20-day chart, it's bounced off the $5 level. We're starting to trend back up. So we definitely have verified a support area and a bounce area off of $5. More importantly, again, we should be focusing down here on these two charts, the 180-day and the daily chart. This is going to tell us the most information about the stock right now. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is we're going to zoom in down here on the 1 year chart. Oh, that's not 1 year. Here we go. Now, the significant thing about CRON is that, well, in fact, one of our followers here on YouTube asked us to analyze the stock a couple weeks back, and come to find, we recommended as a buy here down towards the $5 area because of this bounce here. We said technicals point to a long. It does in fact go long. But beyond that, right now, the stock CRON is in a descending triangle pattern. This was right here is what we would consider a descending triangle pattern, which is actually a bearish pattern long term. But you know, in between that, before it breaks down, you'll usually see the stock bounce a few times, as you're starting to see here. So what does the descending triangle pattern look like? As it's drawn here, you have your downward trend line resistance, you have your support level, which is right at $5. And what happens is it travels like this. And it'll do that pattern until it gets to the end. And most oftentimes it will break down. But on a rare occasion, not necessarily rare, instead of it breaking down, it's very possible towards the end, instead of breaking down, it breaks out and there's a major squeeze, because what happens is in this pattern, people pile in short here, they'll pile in short here, and then if this travels back up, they're going to pile in short here, and it goes back down, and then it comes back up, they may pile in short there again, and they'll slowly add up a position, right? And they may get a little more there, and then if this thing doesn't go this way and break down, it actually curls back up and breaks this way, what's going to happen is, you know, these short sellers, these short sellers, these short sellers, these guys, they're going to cover up because they know for at least right now, the price isn't going lower anymore, it's actually going higher. So I'll repeat that again. People will pile in short here, here, and as long as the stock follows the trend down, more short sellers will pile in on each of these pops, getting the best price possible to short. In the anticipation, the price breaks down this way. And if it doesn't, what happens is you're going to get a big short squeeze out of CRON. But that's long term. That's not happening anytime soon. Right now, you know, we might see a little bit of a battle because we've had a few good days. But right now, I would consider watching CRON long, because if it is in fact trying to build a you know, a nice descending triangle pattern, the next real sign of resistance is going to be some here at 850 or somewhere around this trend line, which means there's still a little bit of a long bias trade you can get in. Ideally, this was the best area. Doesn't mean there's not profit to be made. We would consider watching this long for at least right now. And once the price gets back up to about $9, we would recommend watching it short, okay? And then if it does start following this pattern, you'll know we're in a descending triangle pattern. All right, on to the next one. All right, let's get out of here. And the next one down the list is VLCM. I'm actually really like VLCM, okay? We are completely long bias here at Boiler Room Trading on VLCM. Now, the reason we are, first off, let's look at this chart here. I'm going to zoom in on this one. This is a 1 minute chart. Now, this isn't necessarily penny stock. It was recently one, but we'll just still consider it a penny stock, whatever. All right, so VLCM here, you know, actually, I'll do a 5. Oh, I'm on a 5 day. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, here we go. So this is a 5-day chart. It was recently just $6 a share. Okay, and then it had this, there was some news on VLCM which made it gap up, you know, here, and then it actually ended up getting, you know, had kind of a bad day here. So let me break it down. Ideally, just the other day, our team was like, hey, look at VLCM. We're like, okay, it's up, but it started trending down pre-market. So we didn't necessarily want to play it because, you know, if we were going to get in short, we wanted to get in, you know, up here, and we just ended up not playing it. But as you can see, what's significant about VLCM is that it gapped up, it got short sold and hammered and sold off real quick, where it didn't really end up having a great day, right? And then, you know, it closed okay, but then the next day, which was Friday, it trended all the way back up to, you know, where that gap had gone, right? So if you look at it from this point, we gapped up to here, right? We gapped up to that star and then we came down, but then we trended all the way back up to get right back up to that gap price. So we're right there again. So that tells me that what happened here on this gap up is it went up. We didn't have a lot of short sellers pile in. They shorted it, but the bulls, right? The buyers are still, they're beating the bearish traders right now, and they're beating the short sellers, hence why the price got all the way back up and had a few little squeezes, you know, in here. So now we're all the way back up. We've reclaimed that move down here. So right now we're definitely bullish, because if you have a gap up this big and it gets shorted down, but then the next day it comes all the way back up, that tells me that the selling, right? Selling, or if you want to call it shorting, right? The shorting is not strong enough to, you know, outweigh the buyers. That means that for whatever reason, when this price came down, people started buying up these dips and buying up and forcing that price back up higher, which tells me this thing probably wants to go higher as of right now, because we went up, we tried to go lower, didn't work, and now we're getting up, we're getting bought back up. So that tells me there's some buying pressure behind VLCM right now that's keeping this price up. And, you know, that's a good signal. That's a good sign. If we try to go lower, fail to go lower, and we try to back up, you know, and reclaim this whole move down, that's a strong sign as a buy signal. All right. And now if we look here, this is a 20-day chart, right? 20-day chart, pop up, come down. So we had a healthy pullback there, got bought right back up. We're starting to break out of that previous high price. If you look at the 180-day chart, it looks like it's just ready to pop. You can see here, right? If I zoom in some more, actually I'll enlarge this one. So this is a really good chart. I really like this one here. So again, right, we had the gap down here. So we had this gap down. That gap down has been completely filled, because you can see the price is now, you know, filled that gap. So we're all the way back up. We filled the gap. Most importantly is there is a strong resistance point right here where the gap down started. It was about $9, little less than that, and the price has traveled all the way back up, and it has actually successfully broken it. See, you could see right here we tested that resistance line once before, and it ended up coming down. And then we went down, we traveled all the way back up to retest this resistance line, and now we've broken over once, came down. See, this is what happened. People went, this is resistance, because you see here it rejected, came down, so people thought that this time it would come down again, which it did. But what's different from this time to this time is this one got bought right back up and pushed right over that long-term resistance area with no problem at all. So that's a bullish sign that, you know, we in fact may want to move higher. Okay, and if you look at it like this, you know, we just got over the resistance. We are starting to trend up. Okay, and now let's look at this daily chart, because I think the daily chart tells us a little bit more too. You know, so the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous on it is the daily chart, which is the fact this blue, or sorry, not blue, but this purple line is the 100-day moving, 200 exponential moving average on a daily chart. And these tend to hold up, this purple line that I'm drawing across right now, these tend to hold up as a very strong resistance point. So a lot of times you'll actually see prices of stocks, you know, pop up and have an amazing few days, and then once they get to that purple line, they just boom, just come down. But I think we're actually going to break out of that. And the reason I do is because, you know, well, actually, you know what? You know, you got to be very careful. Now that I'm thinking a little bit more, I want to be long biased. I think that we might start seeing a squeeze, but look at every time VLCM gets up to this 200 moving average, we briefly pop over it, then we get hammered back down. So it's very possible that we might see that same action. So ideally, what we'd want to see here for maybe a long-term swing trade or something, or to be long bias on it, is we need the price to, here, I'm going to draw on this, you know, just act as if where I'm drawing is realistically where the price is at. So what we kind of want to see is the price go up, break over this purple line. I want to go over it, maybe come down, retest that purple line on the daily chart, and if we can hold support, then I think we should be getting long biased on it. Not to mention, look at the volume spike. I mean, there's an insane amount of volume recently, and volume is a clear indicator, one of the most important indicators, you know, especially when buying or short selling, that if there's a lot of volume and it just comes out of nowhere, like you see here, I mean, There was some significant volume here, but all of a sudden it's just like boom, boom, huge volume spikes. I mean, that kind of volume signals that for whatever reason people are buying, and maybe you should pay attention to that. So again, you know, be careful, because VLCM is right on its 1 year resistance with its moving average. We want to see if it can successfully get over that and break. And again, like I said, VLCM is right at, you know, a lot of resistance, and you got to think this way too. You know, if you look at this chart, we'll go back to the daily chart, right? We'll go back to this, or we'll just do it on the 180-day chart. All right, you got to think, you know, a lot of short sellers probably got in here, and then probably try to re-short here. And if this thing does in fact have a good day tomorrow, the short sellers from here might squeeze out, and short sellers from here might squeeze out. So we might see a really big pop on VLCM on Monday morning. It's very possible. I wouldn't put it past VLCM to have a really good day. So right now I am long biased on VLCM. The only thing that makes me a little hesitant to being for sure long bias is that 200 moving average on the daily chart. All right, let's continue down the list. We have SLEB. So I think we're starting to get into the higher price stocks here, guys. So SELB. Oops, that's not it. SELB. Okay, SELB, this is another interesting one because, you know, it's kind of been trending up for a couple days. I mean, it's had some kind of good days here in the past week, and you can see it's, you know, it is in fact starting to trend up a little bit. But more importantly, like I said, what looks better is this 180-day and the yearly chart. I'm not head over heels about SELB, but it has potential. If you look at this 180-day chart, look at this massive red day and these massive couple red days it had in here, just insane, right? So I can't remember what, you know, I don't know what caused it, but again, they're a biosciences company, so what probably ended up happening on this huge red day is they probably had a failed clinical trial. Their phase 3 clinical trial probably failed on one of their most promising drugs, and then it just, investors were like, oh, scrap this company, boom, dropped it. You know, so the nice thing here we're seeing on the chart is we are, in fact, we've proven we've kind of bottomed out because we're not moving lower. And as you can see here, right, look at this bounce at $7.95 or $8. We came down and retested $8, and it was instantly bought right back up. So that's telling us buying pressure has increased once again. You can look here, you're starting to see moving averages crossing over, which is it's a bullish sign. And then, you know, we're starting to get past some previous resistance points, right? So this was a resistance point, that's a resistance point. We're just now starting to break above that. So it's possible we could see some short sellers from here and from here get squeezed here, and we could see this thing pop as well. And again, this has a long way to go up to a high price of 22, where it previously was before it got dumped. Now, is it going to go all the way back to 22? Who knows? How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? I don't know. You don't know. It's possible, but we can't guarantee it for sure. But what we can tell you is right now, we do have a bullish outlook on SELB for right now. Okay, so we're going to watch that one next week as well. All right, on to the next one is TROX. Now, this is a very, oh, actually, this is another, no, or is it wasn't it supposed to be TRX? Yeah, it was. So I'm going to have to skip back and look at this penny. I didn't want to go over TR. I don't even know how I put that on there. But anyways, we're going to look at TRX. Now, I don't normally suggest or even consider looking at sub-penny stocks anymore in my trading career. But, you know, I mean, if you want to watch one, I guess you could just based on this daily chart. Kind of has a nice trend here, but again, this thing's trading on relatively low volume, not too much, but if you want to watch TRX, you can. It has kind of a nice chart. It's starting to develop, so, you know, something significant could happen, right? If you look at this 3-year chart, I mean, it's pushing up on the moving averages. You know, it's possible we could see it squeeze. I mean, you know, it's starting to trend up. It's been downtrending for 3 years, right? This is a 3-year chart, so it's been downtrending for the past 2 years, and just recently, it's confirmed a positive higher low, right? So for the past 3 years, it's been going down. And just now, it put in a fresh low, and it put in a higher low here, and it's popping up. So, you know, on a 3-year chart, it does point bullish, but I mean, this thing's a low volume. I don't really recommend trading it, but some people wanted me to incorporate even more lower price penny stocks, so I did just for them. So if you guys want to watch that one, feel free. All right, next on the list is VNOM, which is an oil-based stock. And if you're not familiar, a lot of oil ETFs and things have been performing pretty well. A lot of people think it has to do with the bombing in Syria, or with the chemical, terrorist attack in Syria that, was supposedly, which was supposedly organized by the president. That's what I've been hearing, but I'm not going to get into all the politics of it because that's not what we're about. We're about trading. So a lot of people think that the increase in oil prices and the driving factor behind the prices of oil stocks and ETFs going up lately is due to the tension between America and Syria, which doesn't really make, I mean, it could be, but it doesn't really make sense because Syria is not necessarily a big oil producer. So again, I would have to do more research on that, but it doesn't really, the puzzle doesn't fit together correctly. Thinking like that, it doesn't really make sense. I don't see how oil prices and everything would go up based on the tension between us and Syria, because Syria doesn't really, produce. I don't, so I don't think that has any correlation. It could just be with, where the market is, inflation, interest rate hike. So who knows? It could be a numerous amount of things. I'm gonna do some more research on that to hopefully find out a better answer for you. So don't take anything I just said for positive yet. I will come back and do an update on that, but I'm pretty sure that there is no relation between the tension of Syria and oil prices. I don't think so, at least. So let's take a look at this. So this is VNOM. Just based on the daily chart, I mean, this thing looks pretty solid, right? We just went through a pretty significant pullback on it, and we kind of flagged out of there and popped up. So this thing is on a steady uptrend. I do think the price is a little extended for right now. So you can watch in the coming days, but we do in fact have a nice uptrend. We have successfully bounced not too long ago, and it's just trending up. So I think this might be a good one to watch as oil prices increase. VNOM is kind of oil-based company. I think we might see some good days out of this, so I'd recommend keeping that one on the watch list. Not going to dive too deep into that right now until I know more on the background of oil prices and why they may be going up recently. Then there is this next one on the list is BJRI. We're also going to start getting into some short selling here in a little bit, short selling position watch list too. So here we go. BJRI, it had a good day on Friday. It's starting to pop up, but again, more importantly, just focus down here on this bottom left and this bottom right. And as I said, these bigger price stocks, they're more or less not day trades, but more or less swing trade opportunity stocks potential. I wouldn't day trade them. I'd more or less be looking at swing trades. But if you look at the daily chart here on BJRI, you'll come to find that it has just broken through, a 52-week high from 2017, not 2018, but from 2017's, previous high. Well, I guess I can't necessarily say that unless I look back. Yeah, so for 2016, 2017, yep. You can see here, look at this. It's just now, if this is a 3-year chart, and it's never been able to kind of get over this price point of $40 and $50, and it's kind of always rejected there, but just recently we were able to pop up. Now, this could just be a fake out before we dump, but we just broke through significant resistance points. So you could watch this one for a potential long, maybe up to the 52 or 53 price, somewhere in that area. But I would recommend this more of a swing, smaller size, something like that. All right, so let's continue down the list here. We got a few more to go through. I know the watch list is big, but it is what it is. FCB. FCB is next on our watch list. We're going to get out of this, go back to a yearly chart, and we're going to do this. So FCB is probably one of my more favorite stocks on this watch list. I'm actually super excited to talk about this one because, despite most of them that I showed you, we're like, oh, well, it's been downtrending. We're starting to see some support. This one's in, a descending triangle pattern. This one's been trending up. But what's significant about this one is, again, we have been seeing some good days. The 5-minute chart starting to trend up, sure. But again, more importantly, with these bigger price stocks, we want to look at the longer time frame. So again, down here on the 180 and the 1-year chart, that's where the more significant pattern lies. And for newer traders, just looking at the stock, you probably never even, recognize it. But as you become more experienced, you would realize that this stock is actually performing into a potentially significant bullish pattern where we could see a very phenomenal breakout happening soon. And I will show that to you. So if you're not familiar with the cup and handle pattern, it looks like that I just drew on the screen. Price starts here, dumps out, rolls around, comes back up. It hits resistance from here, right? So it stops there, then it pulls back briefly before skyrocketing, okay? So what does it look like is happening here on FCB? If you go up, exactly, we're starting to see that perfect U shape. So this could continue up. We've seen that, but it's less likely. It'd be more likely to see that the stock, what's going on? Oh, there we go. More likely to see that it pulls up and it just reached, this previous high area. So we're probably going to see a little bit of a pullback here in the coming days, and hopefully it performs into a perfect handle, and then we just pop, right? That's what I'm hoping for. And not to mention, remember in the previous, just like 2 seconds ago, or not 2 seconds ago, but a couple minutes ago, I said, one of the most important things to watch for in stocks is you got to look for volume spikes. And if you notice, we've been trading, relatively good volume, but all of a sudden, boom, look at that volume spike. That volume spike says it all. That says for whatever reason, people are starting to get interested. I mean, sure, it's only 2 million shares. Some other stocks will trade 50 million shares in a day. But in comparison to what it averaged, on average it trades, that's a lot of volume. On average, it only trades, 500,000 shares a day. But just the other day, we're starting to see a massive volume spike over 2 million, pushing towards 3 million. That is telling me that for whatever reason, people are starting to get interested in the stock. Sure, it could be the fact that it's been getting hit hard and they just wanted to dip by it. It could be the fact that people think this might be a cup and handle pattern, which is very bullish. There could be a numerous amounts of things, but it is in fact performing into a perfect, and when I say perfect, I mean a picture perfect U shape. U shape can lead to handle, handle leads to breakout, which confirms the cup and handle pattern. So that's what I'm looking for in these next few days on FCB. Again, it's a higher price stock. I would recommend maybe taking a little less shares. I'm not sure what the spreads look like on an average daily basis, but with the stock being this high, and it doesn't trade the most volume, the spreads are probably going to be 50 cents, maybe even $1. So I'd recommend maybe taking a little less shares here because you don't want to get murdered by the spread right away. So that is on our watch list, long FCB potential cup and handle pattern. Okay, next one on the list, we got 3 more to go through. ASMB, I think it's a really high price stock. No, not a really high price stock. So am I really crazy about this one? No, not necessarily, but what I do want to mention is this is maybe a good one to watch in the coming days because the price is right at some support, right? So it's possible we're going to start seeing some buying pressure come back in on this stock because we bounced here, we bounced there, we bounced there, we're coming right down to that area. So it's possible we're going to see some buying pressure here in the coming days and we might see this price actually push up. That's very possible. So that's what I wanted to recommend. But then on the same token, I don't know exactly what this company does. It was purely a technical stand looking at it, and that's basically what brought my attention to it. It's just the pattern it was in. It's very possible that this in fact does break down these support areas, and you could see a dump, but that's less likely. I'd be more long bias on this for a bounce. Now this is also arguably right, but it's also arguably in a head and shoulders pattern, right? I'll show you. Boom. Which it actually kind of is. So actually, I'd be a little more short bias on this for now. Yeah, because that is a head and shoulders pattern, which is bearish. And so I'd be short bias on that. Scratch that. No longer long bias, short bias. Could be both. Who knows? Watch it. See what you like. You got plenty of stocks to choose from on this watch list. All right, on to the next one, which is CASY. CASY is kind of similar to ASMB. Just on the daily chart, it showed a lot of weakness here. It was showing a lot of weakness, so it's starting to pop down. Again, here's some major support areas, the $100 mark, and that's exactly where we're at, the $100 mark. So we're kind of looking at this long bias right now because we're on some super significant support, which is the $100 area. Not to mention the selling pressure. Look at the selling pressure here, right? The selling pressure here on this drop wasn't really that big, so who knows, right? But we are on some very significant mental, psychological support, which is the $100 area. So we're kind of long bias on that one for right now. All right, on to the next one. Let's get this over with so you guys can go on and enjoy the rest of your weekend, Sunday night with the family. ANET. Okay, so ANET is very similar to VLCM in the manner that it's actually in a potential descending triangle pattern, okay? And what I mean by that is, you know, descending triangle, boom, boom, right? Could do something like that. But, you know, it also could just dump out here. So that's what we're kind of watching for. We're watching for this support area. Is this stock, in fact, going to hold a support area? What makes me more short biased and thinking that it's not actually going to perform the whole descending triangle pattern is the fact that when we came down, we bounced, we went all the way back up to retest this high. We put in a lower high, we came down, and instead of bouncing and running all the way back up to the trend line up here, we just immediately came right back down. So that kind of signals me that, you know, maybe there was some bad news, maybe there was something I didn't know about, which is probably pretty likely, but whatever it is, it caused the price to go up and then come immediately back down. So it didn't even give the price action a chance to go back up to test this trend line. So it's possible it holds support and it kind of shimmies around and then it goes and tries the trend line. But you know, with that aggressive drop right after the bounce, it's possible we're going to break this 240 support area and just head down to some next key level support areas, right? So kind of short bias or maybe even neutral on ANET or ANET. So again, you know, take it as you will, you know, whatever you choose to do and how you want to trade it, of course, that's up to you. But that is the weekend watch list right there, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you guys once again for tuning in. And of course, I must state it before I go, like I said earlier in the video, we are doing early bird specials or early bird signups for the new section that's coming to the trading course. Usually our trading course is $30 a month. We did an early bird special for $15 off, which will put you or take you out of the price at $15 a month to join our course and our live trading room with traders who go on live every day, myself included, to show you these patterns in real times, entries and exits and that sort of thing. But again, we have Mastering Penny Stocks, a whole long section coming to the course here by the end of the month. So we're doing early bird signups. So right now you can get 50% off the trading course by using coupon code PennyStock15 at checkout. I will also put the coupon code in the description box below and use the first link in the description box below on this video to take you to our website where you can sign up for everything and use that coupon code. Once again, I appreciate you guys tuning into my channel and I'll see you on the next one.